Hi, Katzcradul here. Our family was out to dinner last night, and Paladin Prepper told me about several news stories he'd heard yesterday. And one of them just kind of sent chills down my spine because it pertained to a subject that has been on my mind for a long time. And if you'll remember, I've made several videos where I have mentioned storing sugar. And I'm going to tell you why it's more important than ever. I'm going to remind you that back in 2011, when there was a lot of trouble in the Middle East, especially Egypt, and they were trying to overthrow their rulers, they were really short on food, all kinds of food. They didn't have meat, they didn't have grains, and people, this is actually a shot of people waiting in line for food. The people were starving, but they weren't saying, give us beef and give us wheat for bread. I'll read you exactly what it says. Today in the Middle East, prominent leaders and academics, including former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan and NYU Professor Nouriel Roubini, have explicitly linked the civil unrest to the soaring prices of wheat and other commodities. They report that protesters in Algeria were heard chanting, "Give us sugar," the price of which has risen to record levels. So these people are starving, but they're in the streets yelling, "Give us sugar." And I heard the reporters say the same thing, that they were just stunned that these people were starving and that they were rioting in the streets, and the chant was, "Give us sugar." Well, that was a heads up to me. That I should store more sugar, and I felt impressed to do that and to advise my subscribers to do the same. But let me show you what appeared in the news yesterday, and this is from the San Francisco Chronicle. It says UCSF, University of California, San Francisco scientists declare war on sugar. And let me read you a little bit of what it says. I'm going to link to the article so you can read the whole thing. Like alcohol and tobacco, sugar is a toxic, addictive substance that should be highly regulated with taxes, laws on where and to whom it can be advertised, and even age-restricted sales, say a team of UCSF scientists. Are you believing it? In the paper published on Wednesday, they argue increased global consumption of sugar is primarily responsible for a whole range of chronic diseases that are reaching epidemic levels around the world. They say it's so entrenched in our culture that we need help kicking the habit. It's going to require public policy that gently guides people toward healthier choices and uses, get this wording, brute force to remove sugar from so many processed foods that we eat every day. The only method for dealing with this is a public health intervention, the paper says. Are you kidding me? Everyone talks about personal responsibility, and that won't work here as it won't for any addictive substance. The government has to get off its, and it uses a different word for rear end here. I'm telling you folks, if you want to store something that's going to be very valuable, and I've said this many times, you don't need to store gold, and you don't need to store silver, which is out of the price range of many people. Store sugar. Put sugar away. Now, I'm not trying to say that sugar is wonderful for you. It has its place in our food. I do believe that, and it's loaded with calories and food and it will give you energy. Certainly don't think it should be removed from our diet. What a ridiculous statement. Please consider that. Storing sugar. It's easy to store. You don't have to have anything more than a bucket. Clean out a white plastic bucket, dry it out good, fill it with sugar, and put the lid on. You don't need anything special. You can seal it in a Mylar bag if you want to. Do not use an oxygen absorber. No oxygen absorber is necessary when storing sugar. You really need to read this article. I'll link to both of them, the one from the Egypt food riots back in March of 2011, and I'll link to this article that was published yesterday. But I'm telling you, they warn you what they're going to do, And they're putting this kind of thing in your mind that sugar should be regulated, so when it gets around to that point where they eventually do it, you're going to say, oh yeah, you know, it's for our own good. They told us we were going to do that, and you know, that's probably a pretty good thing because we can't decide for ourselves. We're idiots. Please read these 2 articles and let me know what you think. Cat's Cradle.